So the first thing I want to talk about, right? And I'm gonna go through like I just got a couple things I want to point out that's really gonna help y'all and make you understand this shit for real. And then I'm gonna take as many questions as I can after. I saw a lot of them, so I'll go over those. But the first thing I want to say, like, you got to the thing about being obsessive, because people are asking me about obsession, and I don't know if you can really gain that. I think it's really just a matter of, you know, is it fun for you? Is it exciting? Like, do you really like it? Because the people that are trying to put in all this work, they really like if you feel like you have to do it, you're not going to do it. That's the thing about it. And that's the thing you got to understand. NBA players don't feel like they have to play basketball. They're just like, I want to play basketball. They want, like, NBA players want to hoop. Like, that's the thing that people don't really understand about them, and that's why they make it so far. Like, this is all they want to do for the most part. Like, some of them, yes, like it starts to become a job at a certain point, but for the most part, it's really like they're obsessed with this shit. You know what I'm saying? In order to be the best in the world, to be in the top like 500 players in the world, you're not gonna be there if you're not really obsessed with it, unless you're just ungodly talented, which that's like very few of them. You know what I'm saying? And so that's why they make it to that level. And when you follow it, like if you're obsessive and you start to actually follow that, path of obsessiveness, things will start to unfold for you. And so people always want to know, like, okay, is it going to work? How am I going to get there? How am I going to do all this stuff? And it's like, you're not going to know until you actually start the process of, you know, doing the things. Like once you jump in and you're like, okay, I'm all in on this shit, everything starts to open up for you. Like that's what happened to me. Because even though I was doing this basketball page forever, right? And this year I hit a point where it's like, okay, like I don't want to do nothing else. Like I don't want to have another job. I don't want to have like another thing that I got to go to. I don't want to have to go to work and all this shit. Like I'm going all in on this shit. And then once I did that, like ways to make money just open up for me in order to support me to do this thing, because this is the thing I want to do the most out of everything is like be around basketball, whether it's coaching or teaching or playing or whatever it is. Like it's all I want to do. And so once I made the decision of like, okay, fuck all these other jobs, all this bullshit. Like I'm only gonna do this, and I'm just gonna trust it, and it's gonna work. And so that's what's been happening. And so like next month, literally, I'm gonna be in a point to where I can do this for the rest of my life without having to get another job. That's at least that's what it looks like to me. And so I think it's a matter of like, is it fun for you? For me, I like coming up with content ideas. I like making videos. Like genuinely, the act of making a video and being creative and editing it, and coming up with different ideas and all this other stuff. I like that a lot. Like I really be thinking in my mind like, oh, this will be a good video, or you know what I'm saying? Or what if I did a basketball edit and put this music over it, or talked about this. Like that's the thing that people don't understand, when I make this page. So it doesn't feel like a force. I don't feel like I'm doing it for the money. I don't feel like I'm doing it because I got to, or it's the only thing I can do right now. Like I really just want to do this shit, and that's how it works. And then once you go all in and you commit, doors just start to open for you. It don't seem like it at first, but that's really how it goes. And so you might not be obsessed with basketball, but just understand, like the thing that you're obsessed with, you gotta go all in. Like action is the only thing that speaks. Action is the only way shit will open up for you. And so when you get that feeling like, okay, this would be exciting for me to do, or I'm super obsessed with this thing, you know what I'm saying, or whatever it is, like you got to act on it or you're going to stop seeing the signs. You know what I'm saying? Like, why would I give you more signs if you're not going to act on the sign I already gave you? Like, I told you, like, you're obsessed with this thing. It makes you excited. Go do that. And then I'm going to fucking keep feeding you signs to keep going and which direction to turn and what to do next. And, like, that's how it really plays out. Cause I don't really know. I don't know what I'm going to do next. Like, sometimes I just get a DM and somebody's like, hey, let's do this. I'm like, okay, bet. Like, that's a connection right there. Somebody calls me, hey, what do you think about this? Bet. You know what I'm saying? Like, things just happen that way. And so I just wanted to talk about that because I think that's super important for a lot of people to understand. But also, okay, the next thing is I wrote a couple notes. So this is like when it comes to basketball, right? There's a couple things you gotta do to get the most out of it. And the first thing that no one talks about, the most important thing when it comes to all of this is like experience trumps everything. It's not about drills. It's not about okay, what moves. It's not about like getting a trainer. and all this other shit is genuinely about getting experience, like as much experience as possible against the best players possible. Like, and you can't jump too high. Like, if you're not ready to play against college players and you're in high school, it's not like you're jumping too far. And so you got to find people who are around your skill level, and they're really gonna play like competitively. You got to play them all the time, like all the time, 1-on-1s, 2-on-2s, open gym, pick up, whatever it is. Like, you got to get so much experience, and like that's the thing that's gonna help you out. And it can't be like a coached experience. Like, yes, playing organized matters, but you got to play an even amount of like organized and unorganized, or it's not gonna match up how you need it to match up. So if you're playing only organized ball and you're not playing pickup, you'll never discover the type of person that you need to be, the type of player that you need to be, or the type of player that you that you actually are. Like, you'll never discover that only playing organized ball, because you're always going to be listening to like, okay, what's the coach say? What's the coach want me to do? Like, okay, I'm getting subbed out for this or whatever. But when it comes to pickup and like 1-on-1s and stuff like that, it's just you. You get to decide what you're going to do in the moment. You know what I'm saying? Like, sure, if you're playing pickup, your teammate might say some shit, which that's part of it. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, there's no coach taking you in and out of the game. Pickup is just straight fives, and you're on. No matter how many mistakes, you're on the court for until that game is over. You know what I'm saying? And if you win, like, you stay on. And so getting the experience in that and really prioritizing winning, like, that shit's gonna take you farther than most training and drills and all that other goofy shit. So that's the first thing to understand. Secondly, and I don't know if these are in perfect order, but I was just writing them out. I think secondly, you really gotta take care of your body. Like, the thing that separates a lot of young players is the ones that actually work on running or work on strength and flexibility, and they got a routine for their body, and they're doing all these different things to get faster and stronger and more athletic and stay healthy, and their knees aren't hurting and all this other goofy shit. Like, that's the thing that's really important, at a young age, is like really getting a routine down of like, this is how I'm working my body. Because I started taking my body seriously. I had a weightlifting class when I was 15, but like, me and my friend, we was really in there bullshitting, to be honest. And then after the first semester of that, like second semester, I actually got dead serious. Like, first semester, I was on bullshit. After the basketball season was over, I was like, okay, like, I've learned all these different things to do, all these drills or all these like workouts. And so I just started doing them. Like, I didn't have no organization. Like, I would just get in there and have the little dots, and I was doing the dot drill. And then I was on the fucking treadmill, like running on the incline. Like, me and my cousin was doing this. He was working out with me. And I was like, all right, bet this is what we about to do. So we're just going through all the shit. I'm doing like shoulder press. We're just going through everything that I knew at the time. And we was just going ham. And like, that was the moment that changed a lot of things for me. Because I became a lot stronger, and then like people couldn't push me around. I wasn't weak. I had better balance. I was better around the rim, different things like that. And then, from 16 to 17 was when I took my explosiveness seriously. So I was like, okay, I need to get really, like, actually get faster and quicker and jump higher and those type of things. And so then that's when I started like dunking, and I was actually fast and quick, and I was explosive, and like I could beat people off the dribble super easily. And I wasn't getting ripped easily. So like different things like that just came down to me prioritizing my body and really getting after it. And I avoided a lot of injuries. I had a fluky injury when I was a senior, but other than that, like, I was never hurt. And so, that shit's important. And I got in shape. Like, I was out of shape when I was 16. I couldn't run. I had asthma type shit. So like, I started, getting that out of my system and just running all the time. And, that shit really helped me. Like, when I was 17, I was separated from fucking everybody. Like, at my school, I felt as if there's only one other person there's two people at my school I felt could compete with me at that age. But even then, like, I had more skills. Like, my left hand was better. I could shoot better, like all these different things. And so I really felt like no one could compete with me when it came to that. And obviously I didn't get a chance to show it, but they knew, and we knew just based off playing each other. But those were the things that separated me, was like actually doing the things required when it came to my body. And then, going to the third thing is you can't fight reality. Like, a lot of people like to lie to themselves and be like, man, I am good, or I am whatever it is. And it's like, bro, if you don't accept the fact that you can't do certain things, and that doesn't mean you got to be like sad. Don't be sad about it. Like if you can't shoot, don't be fucking sad about it. You know what I'm saying? But really look at yourself in an objective manner. And if your coaches are saying something or your teammates are saying something like, "Damn, you're bad on defense," or like you can't jump high at all, or you're weak, or whatever it is, or you're soft, like actually think about it and be like, okay, am I like, do I have to change? Should I really, do I got to get tougher? Like I had to get tougher, like mentally tougher, because there was just times I'll get so frustrated and I'd be like, and I'd like mope like a little bit, and my coach on the fucking sideline, get up, like making me tough, like for real, like he made me tough, and like we were doing the workouts, and I did not want to quit. You know what I'm saying? Like, and he had pushed me through that. It was like, don't quit, like just keep going, like push yourself, all these different things. And I would show up early to open gym, like working on my handle because I had to get my handle better. I had to figure out how to handle pressure better, and like all these different things. But if it wasn't for me, just like not having an ego about it and just being like, okay, damn, my mid range does suck. I can't shoot mid ranges. Okay, I am slow. Like I am out of shape. Damn, maybe sometimes I do like complain a little bit or whine a little bit. So I really listened to the feedback and I was like, okay, like let me start to do the things to change it. I didn't say my coach was hating or I didn't feel like people were just talking shit. Like I was just subjective about it. I was like, okay, these are the things I need to do. Like, so I'm just gonna do these things. I got tougher, I got stronger, I got faster. My mid range was on point. Everything from that age, based on what other people were saying, and whether it was fair or not, I just really took it in, and I was like, okay, I do need to get better. Like, so I got better. It's that simple. So you can't fight the reality of where you're at and the things that you need to do and what people are saying. Like, never look at anybody as hating. Really think about it, and you can decide whether or not they're right or wrong. But don't lie about it. Be like, okay, this is where I'm at. And also this comes with understanding your situation basketball wise, like not just you as personally as a player, but the situation you're in, like with your coach. Like try to think about, okay, is this a fair situation for me? Like, am I not playing because I'm not good, or am I not playing because the coach is just being unfair? And for me, I wasn't smart enough to look at it, because some people told me, like they were like, okay, yeah, you should transfer. Or like everybody was asking me, like, why you ain't playing? Why do you only play on varsity? Why don't you start? Why don't you do this? And I'm just like, bro, I don't know. And so I'm thinking in my mind, like, I could change the coach's mind. And you can't, like, the thing you can't do is change the coach's mind 9 times out of 10. If a coach has decided who you are as a player and they're not the type of person to, like, take new information in every year of, like, okay, last year you were this player, but this year I see that you've done this and this. Now I see you as a new person. If you don't have a coach like that, 9 times out of 10, like, you gotta, like, they're gonna be who they're gonna be. You're not gonna change their mind by playing better or working harder. I thought that that's what was the case. I was like, okay, I just gotta work harder, and then the coach is gonna blame me and gonna put me in the game, and you know what I'm saying? Shit don't work like that. And so really take stock of your situation and look at it objectively and be like, okay, can I succeed at this school or on this team? You know what I'm saying? Based on who I am right now, or do I got to get better? And like those type of things. So that's what I'll say for that. And then number 4 is like, you got to find a mentor, bro. Like, you need somebody that's going to help you get from point A to point B. It's that simple. Like, I posted a video on my Instagram. I don't know if any of you follow me over there, but it was like, they said, okay, the Serena and Venus Williams, they got told what to do since they were young. Like, their dad helped them. Floyd Mayweather's dad coached him his whole life. Who else they say? Michael Jackson's dad, taught him how to do all this shit his whole life. And there's just all these people who are like the greatest of all time. And Tiger Woods' dad, like, helped him learn how to do golf and shit like that. Like, all these people who are the greatest of all time had these mentors, whether it was a parent or was it like Mike Tyson had Cus D'Amato. You know what I'm saying? Like, Kobe had MJ. The different things, like, and his dad was in the league too. Don't forget that. But just different things like that. Like, think about Kyrie. Like, he had God, Sham God, and fucking what's his name, Rod Strickland, and his dad was actually a professional player. So he had those people supporting him. And Steph Curry had his dad, like Del Curry. And so it's just like, think about the people that are really, really, really good at their thing. There's always someone behind the scenes that was helping them get there. And I think everybody needs that in some way or another, or it's going to be super, super hard. And you're going to run into all these roadblocks and pit stops that you're not going to know how to navigate without somebody giving you good advice. Like, it's that simple. You can't, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Like, you can try it on your own, but it's going to be 1,000 times harder. And so, you need somebody that you can trust that's going to guide you to get from where you're at to where you want to be, and that knows how to do it, and someone you can trust. And then the last part of that is like really MJ had Dean Smith and he had James Worthy, bro. And LeBron, he was playing like he had a LeBron had his high school coach, and then he also had when he was 15, he was playing with pros at 15 years old. So like he had those type of people around him. Um and so, that's just it really is. You got to look close. And it's not always a person that was great at the thing. Like Customato, who was Mike Tyson's trainer, wasn't necessarily good at boxing. Like, or he's not somebody you think of as an all-time great boxing, but it was just a person that helped him get there. You know what I'm saying? And so, it might not be a person that you look at as like, okay, this person's really good at the thing, but it's just like they helped them get to where they're. And like you're gonna see that from some of my students. Like I promise you, in the next 5-10 years, like you're really gonna see a pool of players that are my students that actually play professional basketball that I started with them when they were in middle school or high school. Like it's really happening. I'm watching my players play right now, and I'm like, okay, these kids are getting good. Like they just got to learn a couple more things, and like some of them, one of them starting varsity this year as a sophomore, and the other one, if we would have just worked on strength and speed, which I took that for granted, he'd be on varsity right now as a freshman. And so it's like, okay, I'm able to do that, with a couple players. Like that shit's gonna really be happening. But you're not gonna look at me as like this all-time great performer or whatever. It's just like I know how to help people get from A to B, and in a way to find it, how would you find? I think you got to pay attention to the people around you and ask questions. Like ask a shit ton of questions. Like genuinely, ask everybody around you questions. Like ask your coach, ask your teammates. That's the thing that I didn't do that I should have done more of, because when I was in high school, like my coach as a freshman was 25 points per game Division 1 player. You know what I'm saying? Like he averaged 25 a game in high school at the same school I went to, and then ended up playing Division 1. I didn't ask him enough questions. I was like, yo, I should have asked him, how the fuck do I go D1? I'd never asked him that question, but he was around all the time. You know what I'm saying? And then we had another, like I used to work out with a player that played at Nebraska, and he was like the same year Kevin Durant and them was at Texas, and so they played against each other. But he was at my school every week, and I should have just asked him like, yo, how do I go D1? I never thought to ask that question. You know what I'm saying? I'm just assuming that I'm going to make it because I work my ass off and I had talent, and then it's like we had another player that would come play with us in high school, and he was an All-American at NAI, averaging 25 a game, like back-to-back years. I never asked him once, like, how do I get to where you're at? And it was just me being unaware at the time. And so I think with the internet now and all the information you guys have, just be aware enough to ask people around you. There's probably somebody around you in your circle. If you're committed enough, these people will start to show up because you'll find yourself in situations to interact with them. You know what I'm saying? Like I played against plenty D1 players that were in my age group, and they ended up playing at Nebraska, or different things like that, or they went and played at I can't remember the other schools, but like just all these players, and I never really like talked to them and asked the questions that I need to ask. And so I think that's the one thing I would really tell you. And then the last part is like really copy the greats. Like the reason I'm against all these drills and being super creative and 1400 drills and all this other bullshit is because there's people who are like all-time greats who are already doing the things, and the proof is in the film. So the shots that they shoot and the technique that they use in the game is the technique and the shots you need to be shooting while you're practicing and working on. You know what I'm saying? Like that's just the way it goes. Like that's how I always think about, how did I learn such good technique? Like how did I learn all this shit? I just watched the film and I did what I saw. Like, and they weren't doing the thing about today is different, is all you guys just watch trainers. And I always say like, stop watching trainers. It's so pointless. I can't stress that enough. It's so pointless to just watch trainers over and over. Like actually watch basketball, watch the best people in the world. Don't be trying to be like, I'm gonna be like Grant Williams. Like he don't, like there's somebody that does what he does 1,000 times better. Like literally watch top 20 players. That's it, and copy their technique, and model your game after that. And the more you watch them, the more you'll start to play like them. And so, and then just master the fundamentals and basics. Like if you can do all those things that I talked about, you'll make it as far as you're meant to make it. That's what I'll say. And that mentor thing's super important. But yeah, I'll start taking questions. I just wanted to go over that because I thought that was super important. What do I think about the zero bounce? I mean, I commented on his shit the day one of trying to be a D1. I commented on there and I was like, bro, waste of time. You're doing all this shit for one lottery ticket. Like walking on, bro. The one thing I'll tell you is never walk on. Never walk on. I don't give a fuck what anybody tells you. Never be a walk on. I was a walk on because I had knee surgery my senior year and I didn't know how to get recruited and all that type of shit. So I walked on a small ass school. And the thing you don't understand is like they don't want you. Like they take you in, but they don't really want you. Like they're actively recruiting in your position right then and there. They don't give a fuck how good you are. Like you'll never. It's so hard to go from walk on to like a starter. That's why the story is so great when you hear it. It's like, oh, this dude used to be a walk on, and that's why you kind of hear those stories because it's fucking hard. Like 9 times out of 10, walking on is useless. It's worthless. Like go to a junior college, get your film up, and then go from there. Like that's the thing. If you have no recruits, if you have nothing, that's what I would tell you to do. Or at least gather your high school film and send it off to people, and the fundamentals are on my page, bro. Like that's all I talk about is fundamentals. Um, but yeah, like walking on useless. Like so Zero Bounce, I knew he wasn't gonna make the team. It's Division 1, bro. Like you're trying to walk on Division 1. And you have zero college experience. That shit is not real. Like again, y'all gotta deal with the reality. You know what I'm saying? It sounds like a great dream and it sounds like all this shit. But it's like deal with the reality and the odds of the situation that you're walking into and understand, you know, um, what you're getting yourself into. Put yourself in situations where you have the best odds to succeed. People are trying to like put themselves in the hardest fucking situation. Like you have no experience and you're trying to go to a Division 1. You have no college basketball experience and you're trying to go to a Division 1 and you weren't actively recruited and you are past 18 years old. So you're not fresh out of high school trying to do that shit. You know what I'm saying? So it just does not make sense. And like playing at Open Gym and playing at LA Fitness, that shit is not going to get you there. And so, and I always say, I think I commented this on his page. I was like, if you really want it, start at the bottom. So for anybody that's out there and you're like, man, I really want to play college basketball, but I've been out of high school for 3 years and have no experience. If you really want it that bad, start at the bottom. If you're not willing to start at the bottom, at the lowest level, at the closest community college basketball team that plays 12 games in the winter, you don't want it that bad. It's that simple. Everybody wants to skip steps, but it's like, bro, this is where you're at. Just fucking get on the platform and go. Start at the bottom and go. And a lot of people, they have too much ego to do that, or they just don't want it that bad. Like they want to make the jump and be like, see, I told you I could play D1. Like you want to show other people. You don't really want to do it. You want to show other people that you did it. And that's two different worlds. You know what I'm saying? That's just what it is. I appreciate you. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, it's exactly what I just said. If I was Zero Bounce, I'm starting at the bottom. I'm finding the closest place I can just play basketball that's organized on a collegiate level, and I'm going. I don't care if I have to try out, but if it's like, if I look at a team, and I'm scouting local small schools, and I'm like, okay, that team's not that good. I would go to the worst school, who's not that good, and be like, I know I can beat them, and I would show up, and I would beat them, and I would play, and I would get my film, and I would go from there. Like it's that simple. That's what I would do. Why doesn't she love me? Who cares if she loves you or not, bro? It's all about self-love, brother. Self-respect. When I play pickup, I do good, but when it comes to the game, I struggle. I mean, you might play with comp, but are y'all actually playing for real? That's the thing. If you're not playing for real, then and there's not like real intensities, like you're going 100%. I don't know what to tell you, bro. That's probably why it's not translating. You're probably not practicing intense enough. You're probably not playing intense enough on a consistent basis, and you also just don't have the guts to be yourself. People who struggle in the game don't have guts. If I'm being honest, like, and I'm not trying to be an asshole, but it's like, you gotta have guts, bro. You gotta be willing to go through the shit and just like, for me, I've been Like, I've always been, I've always tried to be 100. Like, what I mean, I've always tried to be real. You know what I'm saying? With other people, where I'll just tell you direct, like, yo, I don't like this, or I'll say no, or I don't want, like, I don't want to fake the funk. And I've been like that since I was young, and so it's not a problem for me to go in a game and shoot shots and miss shots because I was like, I'm gonna shoot this shot, and that's just the truth of who I am. And so I think you look at, you care too much about perception and how people see you. Like, you just care too much about things that don't matter. You know what I'm saying? Like, it does, like, getting benched don't matter, coming out of the game don't matter, losing don't matter, missing shots don't matter. That doesn't mean, like, when I say all that shit don't matter, that doesn't mean like, okay, I don't want to play well. It's like, no, I want to play well, but if I don't play well, who gives a fuck? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, it don't matter, bro. Like, you care too much about shit that don't matter. You're programmed by society to make you do things to be accepted by people that don't matter. You know what I'm saying? You need to have your own standard of who you want to be and play to that standard. You know, you're putting other people's standards in front of you, in front of yourself. Like, nobody else. And the thing about me is I have a higher standard for me than anybody else does of me. Because every time I would play games and people are like, damn, you played well. I'm like, okay, like, or you was killing. Okay. Like, you think my fucking end goal is to kill and then be celebrated? No, bro. Like, I'm trying to be a professional. And so when people would give me praise, like, I didn't know how to accept praise for so long because it's just like the things that people were surprised that I was doing, it was normal to me because my standard is 1,000 times higher. And so, you know, when people look at my page this time next year and it's fucking massive and I'm working with all these people who, you know, big names, it's going to be everyone's going to be like, congrats, bro. Like, when I first went viral, like my first video that went crazy, the Patty Mills video, I was getting DMs like, congrats, bro. Like, that's crazy. Shout out to, like, I'm like, bro, none of that shit's not important. I have to make a video tomorrow. Yeah, I went viral today. I have to make a video tomorrow. I have to go coach tomorrow. Like, we have training tomorrow night. I have a game to coach this week. You know what I'm saying? And so it's just like my standard is so much higher than anyone else's that it don't matter. You know, and that's the thing is, like, you got to have such a high standard, but you got to believe it. Like, most people, they put in a bullshit standard of like, okay, I'm going to be an NBA player, but they really don't believe it. They don't understand the standard of work that's important. And like, for me, I mentally just changed who my peers were. And so in my mind, like, my peers are not my teammates. Like, my peers were not, you know what I'm saying, these type of people. Like, even right now, like, I'll give you a perfect example right now. My peers are not basketball trainers. Like, the people you see and the people you follow, and they all talk about basketball and they talk about drills and they do film studies. Those are not my peers, bro. They're not, we're not in the same world. Like, my peers are legitimately the top people in the world, and not even the top trainers. Like, if you look at like a Drew Hanlon or like a Chris Brickley or something, like, even I feel like I'm beyond what they're doing. Like, mentally, I'm just beyond that shit. Like, of just, you know, we in the gym drilling it out and recording content and, you know, doing this type of shit and working with NBA players. Like, even in my mind, I'm beyond that. Like, my shit is, I'm not even gonna say it because it just sounds insane to, and it wouldn't make sense, you know, just to the average person. But like, my peers are literally the best in the world. You know what I'm saying? And so think about, and I have, and for my thing, like, I'm not a trainer. That's the thing that people get it messed up. I'm really not a trainer. You know, I coach. I came at this as a coach first. Like, I want to actually coach team basketball. Like, that's all I wanted to do. And then I just fell into training just randomly, right? And so I think a lot of people get it twisted around, and they're like, the first thing people want to do when they're trainers, they just start making videos, and they're like, how to get your shot right, how to get handles like this, 5 drills to. I never started out like that, bro, and I'm not even gonna end up there anyway. And so, like, I'm attacking this as a brand, like a real brand. And so when people are like, when I say I want to sponsor an athlete, and randos are messaging me like, yo, how do I get sponsored? I'm like, bro, would you DM Nike and ask how to get sponsored and you don't even play basketball on a prestigious level? No. And so that's how I think about it when people DM me and they're like, yo, let's collab or let's do this. Like, and I'm not trying to be a dick, but in my mind, I'm like, Nike and Apple and, you know, Yeezy and these type of brands that have like a real stamp, like Supreme and all these things, they would not collab with you in the DM, and you don't have like significant cultural pull. You know what I'm saying? And so I think that's just where my mind is at, because I understand how brand is built. And like if you think about how Nike was built, like yeah, they started out selling, track shoes out of the trunk, but at the end of the day, they went and sponsored a high level athlete, and that athlete took them to the fucking stratosphere. Michael Jordan, Charles Barkley. You know what I'm saying? And so for me, that's what I understand as a brand. It's like, yeah, I'm starting off with programs and doing local shit, but it's like at some point, my shit's gonna end up where I want it to be because I know how to play the big brand game of like how do I get into cultural relevance to where it's like people are asking you, you're not asking people to train. I don't ask people to train. So when people always think about like, okay, how do I, like when I build my local shit, the kids I train right now, I did not ask them to train them. They asked me. And so over time, people start DMing me like, yo, do you have XYZ going on? Like, can I come train with you? Like, that's what I want. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to have to go and like, and sometimes I've asked, I'm not saying I've never asked a kid to train, but it's like, it's somebody I believe in. If I see a kid at the gym, like the last kid I saw, there's this kid at East playing, and I saw him in the summer. I was like, he's fucking good. Like, I want to train him and like help him. You know what I'm saying? He has potential. Like, I'll reach out on that type of thing, but I don't just go around like asking people to train with me because that's just not like I'm understanding the big picture and the long term play of the things that I'm doing. And so, I don't even know where I started out with this, but it's just like I'm not in that same field. That yeah, it's mentally changing your peers. Like I'm not in the same field. I'm not in the field that you guys think I'm in. Like genuinely, and I'm not even trying to say it on a cocky level or anything like that. I'm just being real about like my thought process. Is I'm legitimately not a trainer. I'm really not in the training world. And like once that clicks for you, the things that I'm doing make a lot more sense. And so you got to change who your peers are as far as basketball wise. If you actually want to play on the highest level and be like, okay, because me and my mind, my peers were like, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to get ready to play Steph Curry at some point, or Westbrook, or Kobe, or whoever else at the time. And so my mind, like, I'm training for that. So think about how different that is, and like I mentally don't even see my peers that are around me every day on an everyday basis. Like I don't even see them. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like that's why you shouldn't be impressed so easily. Like when you raise your standards to a certain level, it gets to a point to where you're not impressed easily because you know where you're trying to get. And so I'm not impressed that I have 75,000 followers on here, or I have like 38,000 followers on Instagram or whatever. I'm literally not impressed. I don't care because I know like my ceiling is so much higher, my standard is so much higher that none of this shit matters. And you have to get to that point so then you can, escape the pressure of normal society. Like that's what it really does to you. It gets you out of that mind frame of like what do people think, or what are they gonna say, or I'm scared to do this, or I'm not scared to do nothing, because like I know who I look at as a peer, and I know what they would do, and that's all that matters is like I'm trying to match up with them. I'm not trying to match up with this dude down the street. You know what I'm saying? And that's how you gotta approach your shit, like real shit. That's how you really gotta approach it. Let me hear some more shit. Let me go through these comments. My bad. I wasn't even reading. But I was just letting y'all know, like, that's how it is. I have confidence issues. I'm scared to drive in. So confidence, bro, is like confidence comes from experience, genuinely. And so you got to start small. Like you really got to play one-on-one and be like, okay, I'm driving to the bucket. Or just practice with somebody and be like, yo, let's play one-on-ones, but we can only do layups. And so now you're forcing yourself to go to the basket over and over and over and over and over to where it becomes just a part of who you are. You're like, okay, I can go to the basket. You know what I'm saying? But it starts off with just starting small and getting good at it. Like confidence literally is experience. You know what I'm saying? And like once you get experience and you start to get good at it, and you can't judge yourself for fucking it up. So like you can't go into it and then you want to practice driving to the basket, and the first time you go in there you get shit blocked, and then you start judging yourself like, oh, I suck, see, I got blocked. Like you got to think of it as like, okay, I'm the next time I'm gonna do this instead because they blocked me because I didn't push him, or I went up soft, or just, you know what I'm saying, analyze it objectively. Like don't look at it and be like I'm bad or whatever it is. You got to take all emotional judgment out of every single thing that you do, and that's how you begin the process of doing the things that bring you confidence. Like the people who are not confident is because they judge everything that they do. Like my first videos I made, they sucked. To be honest, like the first edits I started doing, it sucked. The first time I played basketball in 5th grade, I'm shooting that bitch with 2 hands. Like, you know what I'm saying? And so, but I wasn't like emotional and judging about it. I was just like, okay, I got to get better. I'm just gonna do the next one, do the next one. Next time, I'm gonna do this in the video. Next time, okay, instead he blocked my shit, I'm gonna try this instead. It's just watching and learning and trying and not being judgmental about it, and just going through the experiences over and over, and then just raising it up. So after you do it in 1-on-1, then it's like, okay, let me go to an open gym and try to go to the basket and make it a point. Like when I get the ball, I'm gonna figure out how the fuck to get to the basket. Like consciously do it. And once you consciously make the effort to do the things that you're not good at and you're not confident in, you start to get good at it, and then you start to do it unconsciously. So when players, like, the thing I don't like about the analyzation of basketball is people always like, oh, they're not thinking, they're not thinking, they're not thinking. You have to be really fucking good to not think. Like, you have to be really fucking good to not think. That's the thing that no one talks about. They think you just start off unconscious and you're just getting better unconsciously. It's like, no, you need to be thinking about the shit that you're doing. Like, go to the gym and really think, I'm not shooting any fucking jumpers today. I'm going straight to the basket, and be conscious about it. Catch the ball and think. Be like, okay, I'm going to the basket. How am I going to do that? Let me figure this out. And then once you get in that process and you get really good, that's where it starts to become unconscious. But you got to think first. I'm 5'9", with bounce and speed and a jump shot. What other advice do you have for me? I mean, I don't know what you trying out for a JUCO. Just go, bro. It's experience. Like, and don't use your height as an excuse. A lot of people use their height as an excuse. Like, don't even make that shit cross your mind. Like, don't even think, oh, well, they're not going to pick me because I'm 5'8", or it ain't going to work because I'm 5'8". The people that make it and they're 5'8" and they're 5'2" or whatever, like, there's a girl, I wish I could remember what school she's playing at, 5'2", killing it. I think it's Colorado State. 5'2", killing it. Like, there's another D1 player on the men's side. I wish I could remember his name. He's short as fuck too, killing it, like 5'6" or some shit. Like, those type of people, they don't make an excuse for their height. Like, I know a professional that went overseas and he was 5'9", and we would play 1-on-1 all the time. He was legitimate 5'9", like, not like a, you know what I'm saying? And I'm 6'2", and we're running the ones, and he never once in his mind thought he was too small to, like, body me by the rim or do some shit around the basket against me. Like, he's just, like, he was really going after that shit, and that's why he went pro, and that's why we would play 1-on-1 all the time. Like, he was a legitimate basketball player. And he had that mindset of, like, I don't give a fuck, this shit ain't gonna stop me, and then it's just go and try and don't care if you fail. Like, just prepare the best you can, show up and do your best and live with the results. Like, go try out, but don't put all your eggs in one tryout. Like, find 50 tryouts and go to them all. What things should I do for recovery? The best recovery you can have, like, stretches. I mean, I'm not gonna list out. I have an AAU team, by the way. It's Carbon. Last year was our first year. This year, I'm trying to do a lot more with that. I'm gonna have a boys girl. I only want one boys team, one girls team. I don't want anything else. And then I'm gonna have a middle school academy so I can train them all through middle school. They can go play for wherever they want. And once high school comes, you can play for me. I'll train you up, and then you go on and play for, like, Adidas or whatever. Because one of the players I had as a freshman last year, he was playing 17U, and we only play 17U. We're not playing shit else. So he was a freshman. We're playing 17U, and, like, he was playing well. And so now he's gonna play with ETG this coming summer, and, like, I got him ready for that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I coached him. I let him learn the game. Trained him, like, throughout middle school, and now he's gonna go play with them, and he's gonna be on a bigger stage, and I'm gonna propel him to a national stage. And that's what I want to do. But back to, like, the recovery and the stretches. There's really no, I have a stretch to stretch every single muscle in my body. So, like, if I get warmed up, it takes me about at least 25 minutes because I'm stretching everything before I even move, before I start to jog. You know what I'm saying? Like, everything's, and I move a little bit, like, get my muscles warm, and then I stretch, and then I move more. So for me, it's just like the basic stretches, like the fucking, this shit, stretch your tricep, stretch your bicep. You know what I'm saying? Just, it's like basic stretches, bro. There's nothing crazy about it. There's nothing fancy. It's really stick to the basics, and look online, like, Google stretches. Like, I'm not an expert in the body yet, but literally get on YouTube and how do I stretch my back? And there's going to be 10 stretches for your back. Do them. You know what I'm saying? Find the ones you like, memorize them, write them down, and then do that for everything. And and then you'll have a big list of like stretches, and then you start to memorize it when it comes to a routine. So I don't have to look at anything when I go to the gym. Like I have 1,000 routines ingrained into my brain because I have so much experience, where it's like I can go to the gym right now and put myself through a routine with almost unconsciously, just because I have so many of them. It's like, okay, I want to work on this. Now I'm gonna start with my layups over here, and it's like I can kind of make it up as I go, honestly. And so that's what you got to do is like find your own shit and just experiment and go to different workouts and work out with different people and look shit up online, and then you start to put together your own routine that works for you when it comes to warming up and recovery and things like that. And then also sleep. Sleep is the most important thing in your life. It's not even close. Always get as maximum amount of sleep as you can. Like that's sleep comes first. Like I knew one of my other friends that played professional. He would go to sleep at like 9 on the. I can't remember the time, but like we would be legitimately hanging out, all of us hanging out at college, and he'd be like, "All right, y'all, going to sleep," just out the blue. You know what I'm saying? Just because it's like 9:30 or some shit, he would just go to sleep. Like he didn't give a fuck what we was doing. He'd be like, "Y'all can hang out, do whatever. I'm going to sleep." And he would just fucking go to sleep, and we playing a video game. You know what I'm saying? Till 1 in the morning. And so that's why he played, like 6 years professional basketball, before he decided to do other things. Like, that's just, that shit is real, bro. Slowness in your steps lately. Yeah, the same thing, bro. It's like look up different things like ladder drills, sprint drills, different types of shit, and just really, really build your own shit. Like it's really that simple. I'm a sophomore in high school. My parents said I can't play this season. What do you think I should do? I mean, sometimes you can't really override. You can't really override your parents, bro. Like, parents got a lot to say when you're young. But Kevin Garnett was sneaking out to play varsity basketball games. So you get to decide what you're gonna do about that. I can't tell you to go against your parents. I could just tell you to make a decision that you think is best for your life. Because at the end of the day, you gotta live your life. You know what I'm saying? Like I knew kids that in my school, they were legitimately the strongest, fastest kid in the school, like running a 4.5, 4.4, and they could bench, 2 something, squat 3 something, and their parents legitimately would not let them play football. They would have been the best player out of school, but their parents wouldn't let them play. So, that's just kind of is what it is for that. I turned down JUCO for college because I honestly do not love basketball that much. You know what? I'm glad that you said that because I think a lot of players feel obligated to move on to the next level. Like if you don't want to play college basketball, you don't want to play college basketball. Like there's players I know for a fact could play college basketball, and they never did it because they didn't really like it that much. Like they were good in high school, they played varsity and whatever else, but then it's like once that shit was over, they were just done with it. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. To be honest, I think it's all about being true to yourself and don't lie about whether you actually want to do the thing or not. Like a lot of people trick themselves into doing shit because they feel like they got to, or they always done this, or their parents said XYZ. It's like, bro, like I said before, it's your life and you got to do what you want to do and what's best for you and what you're most passionate about. Like that's how it goes, Best YouTube channel for full games. It's literally just YouTube NBA full games, bro. There's like 1,000 channels. Yeah, playing random gym bums sucks, bro. It sucks. Handle aggressive defenders. You gotta attack them. If you're passive, it's cooked. Bro, how can you not find any? Literally type in full NBA games. It's gonna be like the first thing that pops up, and then you just start clicking around and scrolling. I'm saying like it's a balance, bro. And so if you're not happy doing that, like I had high standards, but I was happy. You know what I'm saying? And it's not about accomplishments. It's just about a lifestyle. His vids. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about. But how do you study the game? How many hours per day? Me personally, I study the game for fun, bro. Like I'm watching Warriors Mavs right now. Like when there's nothing to do, I watch basketball. Like so I don't really have like a set time of like, okay, I have to study basketball. It's just like I'm always studying basketball. Regardless of anything. Is low eye level release point bad? There's no good or bad. It's can you get your shit off? Oh, you're talking about games right now? Um, NBA Replay.net. How pro or college hoopers split their weight room workout. I mean, the thing y'all gotta understand is like, there's no right or wrong answer. It's like what you guys are doing is you're so obsessed with the results and you're so obsessed with doing the minimum amount of things for the maximum amount of results. So whenever somebody asks me how long do I got to do this thing in order to get a result, you're already selling yourself short because you only want to do it for the least that you can, which means that you don't even want to do it. You're just like, okay, I'm gonna do this for 1 hour is good. You're in a good enough mode. That's what you're in. You're in a good enough. Like you got to get out of that mode of this is good enough. You know what I'm saying? And really just go and do the thing. Like just figure it out. You know what I'm saying? Like you're supposed to lift weights. Go and look up weightlifting routines for if you're a beginner or whatever it is, or just start with calisthenics. Like that's what I would start with. If I was a beginner that never worked on their body, I would only do body weight workouts. You know what I'm saying? Like no weights at all. And then go from there. But you start to figure shit out, bro, because your body changes, time changes, things change. So you got to adapt with it. And I could give you an answer right now, but like in 2 months, shit might change. You know what I'm saying? So I can't really, there's no perfect thing for you, especially if I don't know you personally. Like there's nothing I can tell you that'll be perfect because I might tell you to do all these things, but then you're like, damn, one weekend this shit don't work for me, or this is too hard, or you know what I'm saying, this is too much, or I don't have this much time to do that. You know what I'm saying? So, um, like stop thinking of it as what's the least amount of time or how much do I got to do to get X results. It's just like do the thing until you see results. You know what I'm saying? And if the results aren't good enough, um, then find a way to max out the results for what your input is. You know, it's that simple. Thoughts on the Pistons? They fucking stink. They're not. Their team's not as bad as their record though. They should be better. They should be better than this, to be honest. But you know, it happens like that sometimes. It is what it is. I'm not gonna watch any of their games. I don't watch bad teams, to be honest, in the NBA. I might see them like once a year. Bro, me on the Pistons, I'm not ready. My body is fucked up right now. I shouldn't even say that out loud, but just to like put good energy on it. But my body is like, I played open gym 2 weeks ago and I hurt my shoulder and I haven't been able to play since. And I've been wanting to play, and like I just randomly got invited by these dudes to play every weekend, and it's just like I can't play. My shoulder is messed up. You know, and it's because some dude set a hard ass screen on me. My teammate didn't call it, ran straight into it, and like messed up my shoulder. You know, can't control that type of shit. How do you study film? Do you watch specific players? Um, how to study film? Yeah, it's really just like it's just copy a player. Like that's the number one thing I'll give you is copy a player. Like watch everything that they do, or watch the people that are the best at what they do. So like if you're trying to get really good at defense, watch the best defensive players and like work on their stuff. And then it's like, okay, who's the best at attacking the rim? I'm gonna watch how they attack the rim. Who's the best at getting shots off? I'm gonna watch how they get shots off. You know, it's like section it out by the main things in basketball, and then figure out who's the best at these things, and then how do I do it like them or similar to them. Like that's kind of what it is, you know. Um, can you talk to me one on one? Oh, okay, that's a good question. So I'm about to start, you know, taking one on ones, but I can't. Like I'm at a point right now where I can't just do it frivolously or for free a lot. Like you can DM me and I'll DM you back, but like there's no guarantees that I'm gonna like, you know, go in an amount of depth because sometimes I genuinely just don't feel like going in depth at the moment. So you might not get the best answer from me, but I'm gonna set up a way to where it's like people can book calls with me and like actually do a consultation, and I'll genuinely help you out. But other than that, like you can try to DM me and you know, I'll try to make the best out of it. Like I'm not gonna try to I'm not gonna bullshit you, but like my time is getting squeezed and I can't, you know, I can't frivolously take a bunch of free calls and shit all the time anymore. Because it's like a lot of the players I used to train just be like, yo, do you want to get some shots up today and train today? It's like it started turning into a hell no all the time, or you can only come to the gym at this time, or I'm not training. You know, I had to do that for my own sanity in time and to prioritize my shit. But yeah, DM me, bro. Defensive tips. That's super vague. Study people's tendencies. That's the best defensive tip I'll give you. How do you transition from big to guard? By doing it at open gym. Playing one-on-one as a guard and going to pick up runs where you can play the guard and you can just do your guard shit without a coach being in control. That's why I think playing unorganized is as important as playing organized. Like, they're both equally important to me because you need to go over there to where there's no coaches controlling your position or what you can do with the ball, and explore your game that way, and then just work on your handle. Demi found a website a while ago that broke down every NBA player and every possession by move. I'm not as much into moves because it's just like, it's really not about the actual move itself. It's just like, which direction are you going? Like, are you going left or right? Are you shooting it? You know what I'm saying? Are you stopping? Are you going backwards? Like, that's really all it comes down to. So it's less about the move. It's more about where are you actually going? And are you separating from your defender or are you going past them? Like, that's the simplified version. And once people actually think of it that way, basketball becomes 1,000 times easier. 1,000 times easier. I feel like I'm talking up like crazy. But the lower my fucking mic. There we go. This is way better. Hopefully y'all can still hear me. What time is it? Damn, I've been on for an hour. Well, almost an hour. I was fucking fixing my camera for 10 minutes. Wingstop. I used to eat Wingstop all the time, but there's one time, like, when you eat so much fast food, there's always that one time where you eat it and it's like, okay, this shit is disgusting. That happened to me with Wingstop. Do I need a trainer? No, I know how to train myself. That's the thing about all the things. Do you need a trainer to become elite? Oh, I thought you were asking me personally, do I need a trainer? I was like, no. Do you need a trainer to become elite? No. You need experience to become elite. You need a mentor to put you in situations to become elite. Like, I watched Mount Verde versus the Boozer twins. And when I tell you, it was the most normal looking high school basketball game I ever seen in my fucking life. And these are supposed to be like top 10 ranked players. And like, that shit, it makes me realize, like, the shit don't matter. It's just about, can you get yourself in a position to be seen? Once you're in the position to be seen, you can get in the position to be ranked. Like, I know a coach whose son is who's an NBA prospect right now as a junior. And he played in Nebraska last year. He went to Southwest. And now he's like, him and three of his other teammates are literally top 50 players. You know what I'm saying? And it's all just because he got moved to different situations. And so he dominated Nebraska basketball as a sophomore. And then it was time for him to move and get out of this because it was going to be too easy. So he left and went to a different high school. And now he's like he's legitimately, I saw an article, he's an NBA prospect. And I watched him play. Like, I was in the gym, and I saw him like a couple weeks ago. I got to work with him. Like, I didn't do anything with it, but I was in the gym when he was training with his dad. And, my players played against him in a 3-on-3 tournament. And now this dude's an NBA prospect, 3 years later. So it's about connections and putting yourself in situations to where the other ranked people are. And whoever makes the rankings will see you. And then you fall into the mold, bro. Like, that's how this game goes. It's really about connection. That's how this game goes. And so I'm gonna get my players ranked. Like, I'm gonna figure out the process. I'm gonna figure out how do you get to all these camps. How do you get in these places? And like, that's why I'm building my page so I can connect the dots. For the players in Nebraska, and really, because I think we have as much talent as anyone else. I just don't think our standard is high enough. Like, I've yet to meet a coach who has the same standard as me. Like, I really believe I have the highest standard, in my state when it comes to how I believe we should be performing as players and as teams. Like, I really believe we should be elite. I'm not going to settle for less just because we're not. I'm not going to settle for less just because we live in a small town. I'm not going to settle for none of that shit. Like, I'm not a small-minded person. And not to say they're small-minded, but it's just like, I reach for the top first. Like, that's the thing. I reach for the top first. What do you mean by your balance? By your standard? The standard is just like what I expect of myself. So, like, let's say I have a standard of making, 1,000 jump shots a day. Like, that's a high fucking standard. You know what I'm saying? My standard used to be, what was my standard in college? For made jump shots a day, like every night, I was at like 600 makes every single time, regardless of circumstance. That was after I overcame my injury and shit, and I got to like work on my game for real. 600 makes at the night, and that doesn't even count. When I was there before in the afternoon, that doesn't even count. We just had a 2.5 hour practice, whatever it was. That doesn't even count. I was at the gym in the morning shooting around, like, you know what I'm saying? And it's just the standard. Like, the standard is what you expect. Like, should you perform? Like, if you expect to score 20 every night, that is a standard. You know what I'm saying? And some people have lower standards. So when I say, like, a lower standard for me is like, okay, I coached a middle school girls program, right? And our 8th grade girls team they were good enough to play gold, like the top bracket in basketball, right? At your age group. They were good enough to play gold because we played silver. They beat every fucking team by 20 points besides like 2 teams, And so I'm like, we should be playing gold. And the person that ran the program didn't want them to play gold because they only had a certain standard. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, my standard is domination, be the best. I don't have another standard. Destroy is my standard. And like, another thing is like, when I coached the team, I got to substitute coach, right? And so I coached the 7th grade girls, and we were up 13 at halftime, and the person that ran the program told me to stop pressing. And in my mind, I'm like, we're only up 13. Why would I stop pressing? And so, since he runs the program, he stood up and told the players to stop pressing. I didn't do that. I basically said no. I said okay, but then I didn't do it. And so, his standard was just like, let's win by a little bit. And my standard was, fuck them up. Like, we're going to win this game by 25. I don't care. So it's just like the way I see things and what I think we should be and how we should be playing. That's what standard is, and you have to raise it in order to perform better. Because some people are okay with, I'm going to work out 3 times a week. That's their standard. And I'm like, 3 times a week? Oh, you're making 100 jump shots a day. Your warm-up, or my warm-up is your workout. That's fucking insane. And that's real life. Some people, like, I knew people like that. 100 jump shots a day or 3 days a week. And I'm like, bro, that's literally my warm-up. I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you. Last couple ones, and I'm going to turn it out. How do you play when you have a scouting report on you and they know everything you do? Have counters, bro. Have counters. You have to have a counter for every single thing that you do. So if you know that they're gonna stop you from shooting threes, it's like, okay, if they stop me from shooting threes, what am I gonna do? They can't stop you from shooting threes and going to the basket. You know what I'm saying? Like, if they play off you, they can't play off you, and then your counter is to shoot, and then they play tight, and you don't have a counter for that. You have to know the opposites of everything that you do. So, like, the opposite of posting up. Like, if you're good at backing down, it's like, okay, can you face up, though? What if they back up and you can't put your body on them? Then what? You got to have a counter for every single thing that you do. Yeah, I think I'm out. I'm about to close it out. My last message to all of you is just like, whatever you want to do, whatever your goal is, you should double it. Like, increase it. You know what I'm saying? And like, you gotta really feel as if what you want to happen can be true. You don't have to believe it's 100% going to work, but you got to think, okay, this is a possibility for me. Like, I could really, okay, if I want to go to the NBA, like, damn, okay, what if I went to JUCO and then I went from JUCO to a D2 and then I go overseas for a couple years and then somehow I get a tryout and like, okay, if I do all that, that can work. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to make it real somehow to yourself and really believe that the path, and it might not even go that way. Like, I always remember this thing of Terrence Ross. Like, this always sticks in my mind of people are like, he was like, I never had a plan to get to where, he did and play so many years in the NBA. He just thought he was going to go overseas and then like get a tryout and get a shot at the NBA. Like, that was his plan in his mind. And so, that made him do the things necessary to at least at some point he's gonna get a shot at the NBA, but then fucking get you drafted. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to make it realistic in your own mind, and it might play out better than you believe, but you at least got to find the path mentally that's believable. And that's how you start the process, because you won't do the work required, and you won't go in the gym every day, and you won't run sprints and do all this shit if you actually don't believe that, you know, these things are a possibility in your own mind of just like, okay, if I want to get here, I could do, you know what I'm saying? If I got to a tryout, okay, I could do that. Let me at least get to a tryout. Or I could go overseas for a couple years. Like, if you're not okay with doing that, and you have to be willing to do anything, this is the part that everybody fucks up at. They're not willing to do anything. They're not willing to go to China. They're not willing to go to South America to make their dream happen. If you're not willing to do anything and take it as far as you can and take any avenue available, it's not going to happen. Because you're not going to even see the opportunity. Because you're so closed off of like, oh, I don't want to go overseas. I should get drafted. And you have all this ego about it. You're going to miss the fact that you could have went overseas for 6 months and then went to the NBA after that. But you're so willing to not go, you're not willing to go overseas, so you didn't even see that path available to you. And so you have to be willing to do anything that it takes to get what you say you want. And if you're not willing to, then that's on you.